right, gotta say, diving into this one's got me pretty hyped. Sawmill operator. Huh. That's different. You usually don't hear folks aiming for that kind of gig. Feels almost like, I don't know, something you'd see on a nature show or something, but then you toss in all the tech they're using these days and suddenly it's a whole other ball game. Good thing we've got this RoleCatcher guide to walk us through it, eh?
You hit the bullseye there. There's this kind of funny clash between like the old school image of woodworking,
Yeah.
and what it actually means to work in that field now with all the tech involved. Like the guide even talks about these computer controlled systems, and we ain't talking about just a couple buttons here. I'm talking massive automated saws. You feed them a log and boom, they slice it up perfectly, exact dimensions, crazy speed, all thanks to the operator behind the controls.
Whoa. Okay, so way more high-tech than I was picturing.
Yeah.
It's not just about knowing your wood anymore, but also how to handle these crazy complex machines.
Exactly. And when you really think about it, it makes sense. Demand for wood. It ain't going anywhere. But people want that good stuff, consistent, precise cuts. That's where all this tech comes in. The guide even mentions that folks who can learn the new stuff fast, those are the ones who will really thrive in this line of work.
That's a good point. I bet being the person who can tweak those machines for even better performance or fix them when something goes wrong, that's got to be valuable. So talk me through a typical day for one of these sawmill operators. What's it actually like on the job?
All right, picture this. You're on the sawmill floor, right? The whole place is humming with machinery, the smell of fresh woods all around you. Maybe you're at a computer, watching over the system, making sure all the logs are lined up perfectly for cutting. Or you could be running one of those fancy saws, turning those logs into the 2x4s you see at the store. Or even plywood, custom cuts for furniture, the whole shebang.
It's kind of wild when you think about it, how something as basic as a piece of wood goes through so much to get there. But those saws, those are serious business, yeah. Got to be a big focus on safety.
You're singing my song. The guide hammers home how crucial safety precautions and PPE are. That's personal protective equipment, just in case anyone's new here. You're dealing with heavy-duty equipment, sharp blades, everything moving at lightning speed. It's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure.
Definitely not something you think about when you picture those peaceful woodworking scenes.
Right.
There's more to it than just knowing how to work with wood. You got to stay sharp, focused, especially in an environment where things can get hairy.
You got it. The guide even mentions that sawmill operators often end up working long days, weird hours even. All depends on how much they got to produce. It's tough, physically demanding, and you got to be mentally tough too to handle all that.
So we're talking about a career path that's about more than just skills. It's about guts and being able to roll with the punches. With all that in mind, you'd hope the job market's looking good for these folks. What's the outlook like these days?
Well, good news for anyone thinking about this path. The guide says things are looking pretty steady for sawmill operators in the coming years. They're expecting some solid job growth.
Okay, now that's encouraging to hear. So even with all this talk about machines and automation taking over, they still need skilled folks to run the show, huh?
100%. And this is where it all starts to click, right? Yeah, automation is changing the game, no doubt, but that just means they need people who can not only work those machines, but also fix them when they break down, make them run even better, keep everything smooth sailing.
So it's not about robots replacing people altogether. It's about people stepping up to manage and take care of those robots, becoming even more specialized in what they do.
You got it. In fact, the guide really pushes how important it is to keep learning new things in this field. If you want to make it as a sawmill operator, got to be ready to learn your whole life, always keeping up with the newest tech, the latest tricks of the trade. Think of it like an investment you're making in how much you can earn down the line.
I can see the appeal in that, for sure. Knowing you've got these specialized skills that'll always be in demand, that's got to be a good feeling. But, hey, no job's perfect, right? Let's flip the script a bit. What are some of the downsides to being a sawmill operator that we haven't touched on yet?
Right. Well, like we said before, the work itself, it can be rough on you physically. And there's always the risk of getting hurt if you're not careful. Plus, all that noise, all the sawdust flying around, that can wear you down after a while. And then there's the whole seasonality thing. Depending on where you're at, what kind of mill you work in, there might be times when things slow down, maybe even layoffs, depending on the time of year.
Wow, that's a good point. Anyone who needs that steady paycheck year-round, they definitely want to keep that in mind. So sounds like you really got to weigh those pros and cons, figure out what matters most to you. On the one hand, potential for good money, a job that's in demand, and getting to work with your hands. But then there's the physical side. Got to be okay with the risks involved and maybe dealing with some crazy hours or time off, depending on the season.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It all boils down to what you want out of your career, what you value most. But say you're up for the challenge, ready to jump into the world of sawmills. What's that first step actually look like? How do you break in?
Yeah, what does that entry-level experience look like? Do you need years of carpentry under your belt just to get your foot in the door?
Actually, the guide makes it seem like most places, for entry-level roles, they don't expect you to know everything right off the bat. Most of the time, high school diploma is all you need. Think of it like starting at the bottom and working your way up, proving yourself.
Okay, so no need to be a master sawyer on day one. What kind of stuff would someone in an entry-level position actually be doing?
The guide paints a picture of someone who's hungry to learn, probably shadowing the more experienced folks, lending a hand with different parts of the process, and most importantly, keeping safety top of mind, always.
So lots of hands-on learning, watching the pros, really getting a feel for how things work in a sawmill.
You got it. And even though you might not need a fancy degree beyond high school for those starting roles, they really emphasize learning as you go, building up your skills. So even early on, you might find yourself taking some courses, going to workshops, or getting certified on certain machines.
So it's less about having a piece of paper that says you're qualified and more about showing them you're eager to learn, adapt, and keep getting better over time.
Exactly. It's a field where what you've actually done, your experience, that's what really matters. But it's not just about clocking in and out. Got to be proactive, looking for ways to grow. The guide actually highlights a few key things for aspiring sawmill operators to climb that ladder.
Okay, lay it on me. What are those insider tips?
First things first, got to master the basics, right? Become a pro with all the different saws and equipment, knowing how to grade lumber, how to fix common problems that pop up.
Basically, become the go-to person on the sawmill floor, the one they can always count on to get things done.
Bingo. But here's where it gets interesting. The guide also says networking is key, building those connections within the industry.
Makes sense, especially in a field like this. Word of mouth, knowing the right people, that's got to count for something.
Absolutely. Going to industry events, joining those trade groups, even just making an effort to chat with the folks who've been doing it longer than you, it all helps you build your network, pick up some wisdom from the veterans.
It's like building your own personal team of mentors, people who can show you the ropes, share their experiences, maybe even open some doors for you down the line.
Exactly. And lastly, the guide talks about how important it is to showcase what you can do, let your passion for the work shine through.
How do you mean? What kind of showcasing are we talking about here?
Could be something as simple as keeping a record of projects you've worked on or highlighting the improvements you've made in the sawmill process. Maybe you found a way to make a cutting pattern more efficient or streamlined a task. Writing that stuff down, showing you're taking initiative, that can make you stand out when it's time for a promotion.
I like that. It's about going the extra mile, not just doing the bare minimum, but actively looking for ways to do things better, shake things up a bit.
Exactly. And this is where RoleCatcher's platform comes in clutch. They don't just give you information, they give you the tools, the resources to actually land that job and build a real career.
Okay, let's dive into that.
Yeah.
We've talked about their career guide, but what else does RoleCatcher offer that could help someone interested in becoming a sawmill operator?
Well, for starters, their job search function, it's in a whole other league compared to those regular job boards. It's not just about seeing a bunch of random listings, it's about connecting you with the right opportunities. Their platform talks to a ton of industry-specific job boards, so you're finding openings specifically for sawmill operators right in your area.
No more wasting time on those generic job ads that don't even match what you're looking for. That's huge.
You said it. And speaking of saving time, their CV analysis tool, that's a game changer. Upload your CV, their AI looks it over, compares it to the specific requirements in the job descriptions you're interested in, tells you what's up.
Hold on, it does what now? That's incredible. It's like having your own career coach telling you exactly what to highlight, what to focus on to catch the hiring manager's eye.
You got it. It even points out any skills gaps you might have so you can address them head on. And then there's the interview prep. This is where RoleCatcher goes above and beyond. They've got this gigantic library of interview questions, I'm talking thousands, all tailored to different industries and roles, including, sawmill operator.
So instead of walking into an interview feeling like a deer in headlights, you can strut in there feeling confident, ready to handle whatever they throw at you.
Precisely. And it's not just about memorizing the right answers. It's about understanding what employers are really looking for, how to showcase your skills and experience in a way that resonates with them.
Man, that's game-changing stuff.
And to top it all off, you said they even have AI-powered practice interviews. Tell me more about that.
It's wild. Basically, you get to practice your interview skills with an AI coach right there on your phone or computer. You record yourself answering common interview questions, and the AI analyzes everything, how you sound, what you say, all of it. Then it gives you personalized feedback.
Wow, talk about having an ace up your sleeve. It's amazing how technology can help even the playing field, you know? Anyone who's willing to put in the work can really boost their chances of landing that dream job.
That's what RoleCatcher is all about, really. Giving folks the info and the tools they need to navigate this crazy job market. It can be intimidating, especially when you're talking about a specialized field like this, but having that support system makes a world of difference.
Sounds like they've thought of everything. It's not like they just throw you in the deep end. You get a clear path to follow, guidance when you need it, and a chance to practice and really hone your skills. Exactly. They give you the roadmap, but you got to be the one to actually make the journey. Your drive, your passion, your willingness to learn, that's what sets you apart in the end.
So true. It's all about bringing together the power of technology with that good old-fashioned hard work and dedication. Speaking of which, we've covered a ton today, from how surprisingly tech-driven this work is to the possibilities for moving up in your career. So as we start to wrap things up, what would you say is the most important thing for our listeners to remember if they're thinking about a career as a sawmill operator?
I think the biggest takeaway is that this isn't just some job, you know? It's a skilled trade with a long history and a bright future ahead. The world needs its lumber, and it's skilled sawmill operators who make it happen. It's a field that's always changing, adopting new tech, and it gives those who are ready to adapt and learn right along with it the chance to build a really rewarding career, one that can pay pretty well too.
Couldn't agree more. And hey, with platforms like RoleCatcher out there, providing the tools and resources every step of the way, that journey from dreaming of becoming a sawmill operator to actually being one, it doesn't seem so daunting anymore.
You got that right. It's about combining that traditional know-how with cutting-edge technology, and that's exciting stuff for anyone who wants to work with their hands and knows their skills are always going to be in demand.
For sure. Now, before we call it a day, I always like to leave our listeners with something to think about. We talk a lot about how important specialized skills are in this field. So here's a question for everyone out there. What unique skills or interests do you have that could give you a leg up as a sawmill operator? Maybe you're a tech whiz who loves figuring out how machines tick, or maybe you're an artist with a knack for detail and precision. Whatever it is, don't underestimate the power of your own unique perspective.
Such a good point. Those passions you have, those experiences you've gathered, they can often translate into some surprising advantages when you're looking for a job. Don't be afraid to let that unique side shine through.
I'm with you on that. And on that note, we'll wrap up our deep dive into the world of sawmill operators. Remember, the future belongs to those who are brave enough to chase their passions and smart enough to find the tools that'll help them get there. Until next time, everyone.